Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Veterinary Practice Marketing Made Easy. I'm Diederik Gelderman. I'm wondering, we're using a new system, a brand new system, and this is, even though we've done lots of trial runs, this is the first live session we're doing. I'm just wondering if you can type in the chat box and let me know that you can hear me, that you can I've just taken the slide presentation down because that covers the chat box, that you can see me, that you can hear me, and all those sorts of things. And as I said, good morning and welcome to the people in Australia. Good afternoon to the people in the US, and good evening to the South Africans that are staying up late. So welcome. Now I can't. No one's put anything in the chat box yet, so I don't know whether I'm being heard and seen or not heard and not seen. So if anybody can hear me, Michelle, maybe you can type in the chat box because I know you're there, but I don't know if anyone else is there. So I'm just waiting until I get some chat messages, because there's no point going on unless I can be heard. Now, the other thing is, that's the housekeeping. The second piece of housekeeping is my voice. I've had a really bad cold, and I'm only just getting over it. So thank you for your understanding with respect to my croaky voice. Now, I still don't know. There's still nothing showing up in the chat. Nothing showing up in the chat. So I don't know what's going on. I can see lots of people coming online. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Really appreciate the fact that you guys can see me and that everything's hunky-dory. So let me put my slide presentation up. So this the session today is Veterinary Practice Marketing Made Easy, and also my apologies for the occasional cough. So yeah, I'm sorry about this, but just as the way it is, I'm actually lucky to be here. So this is Veterinary Practice Marketing Made Easy, and I see so many practices that struggle so long and so hard to get their marketing right, whereas in effect marketing is a very simple process, and it only takes 10 steps. We're going to cover some of those steps today. So the first thing is, I'm going to raise something that I raise on a regular basis, and you may have heard me say it before, you may not have, and that is that you don't need any new clients. You don't need any new clients, and it's a real misconception, and lots of practices spend lots of money trying to attract new clients, and you just don't need to do that. Well, you may need a trickle coming in, but that's going to happen, by drive-by and walk-by and all that sort of stuff anyway. Getting new clients is very easy, but you don't need to do it because typically it's an expensive exercise, getting new clients. And we'll talk about that further on. So, as I said, welcome. I'm Diederik Gelderman. Now, the other thing that I'm just going to throw out there is that did you know that existing clients won't refer you to their friends? And that's the other key message out of this training. So we're going to share today in how to get clients to refer to you to their friends in droves and have them loving you from doing so. And I've actually got another presentation on this. I don't know whether you watched my presentation from 2 or 3 weeks ago, but there's actually a whole presentation on referral programs in which I go through that in detail. I'll only touch on it today because the main thing is the fact that you don't need any new clients. So this morning you're in the right place if you've spent money on marketing and you think, hey, am I getting a good return on my dollar spend, or am I just throwing money up against the wall and hopefully some of it sticks? And 99% of practices that I talk to and that I see, they are throwing money up against the wall, and most of it is not sticking. You only need a tiny budget for marketing. and if you do your marketing effectively. Only a tiny budget, because most marketing can be done for free. You don't need to invest money or a lot of money in marketing. So this training is for you if you see some cracks in your practice's marketing. In other words, you're spending a lot of money and getting very poor results, and you want to improve or remedy that situation and get a whole heap of new clients into your practice that aren't currently using you, but doing so at low cost or no cost. It's interesting that the veterinary business has never been harder than it is at the moment, excuse me. And the recent studies out of the States and the recent studies out of Australia show that we're in for a decreasing profitability in our practice. In Australia, it's been anticipated that during 2015 and 2016 that we're going to lose about 3.5% of our net profit. So the net profit here at the moment is 9.5, and by the end of 2016, that's going to be down to 6%. Similar studies have come out from the States, and in the States as well, there's been some really good data showing that the vet costs or our charges are not even keeping up with inflation. So veterinary business has never been harder, and there's lots and lots of reasons for that, which we won't talk about today. And this is most definitely going to continue. So unless you start getting proactive and getting ahead of the game, you're in for quite a few years of pain. The other side of that coin is that it's never been a better time to be a veterinarian and to work on your practice and build your practice, because there are so many tools available now that you can do it. The consumer is becoming very picky with who they go to and why they go there. A lot of veterinarians think that consumers choose us based on price, when that is just not true. Not true at all. So you don't need to be cheap to get lots of clients. In fact, you can be very expensive and you'll have a very good niche as well. So it's got nothing to do with money. Yes, there's a certain percentage of clients are price focused, but most of them aren't. And that's been since 2013, things changed dramatically. Before 2013, there was a lot more focus on price, but since 2013, the Australian and the American public have diametrically changed their shopping habits with respect to pet care. So these are some of the reasons why business is hard for us at the moment. Corporates, internet, increasing competition, more graduates, deregulation of the market, decreasing pet ownership, more competition on price. And as I said, studies show a decreased profit. I think I said 3.5. It's actually 3.4 by the end of 2016. Vet prices have not kept up. So, yep, it's if you're not working on your business, on your veterinary business, on your veterinary practice, and you're spending all your time working in it, then this is a great time of time to be pulling out your hair, because that's how you'd feel. As I said, there's never been a better time to thrive. Never been a better time to thrive. But the same old strategies no longer work. You can't use the same marketing strategies that you did even 5 to 6 years ago, because they just don't work anymore, or not nearly as well. And you can get them to work, but it's going to cost you a stack of money. So it's time to change strategies. Now, why should you listen to me? And you know, I've been at the coalface. I worked in practice from 1977 to 2009. I was a full-time veterinarian. 2004, I started going down this coaching, mentoring, training road. So I've been doing that for 11 years. I have been mentored by some of the best gurus on the planet. And yeah, I help practices on a daily basis, and we can turn them around. Just go back one slide. We can turn them around from having an average practice profit of, 6, 7, 8, 9% to having a practice profit of 18, 19, 20% within 12 to 15 months. So I've got the runs on the board. I can point you at hundreds of delighted clients that have used me, used my products, used my services. That's why you should listen to me. And I practice. I still practice. I love practicing. So I do some locum work here and there. So yeah, I've got runs on the board. Now, successful marketing of your veterinary practice is easy. It's a recipe, okay? It's a recipe. It's just like a chocolate cake. Now, imagine in a chocolate cake, and I haven't baked I love cooking, but I haven't baked a chocolate cake for years, so can't remember the ingredients anymore, but I'm sure there's, butter, sugar, flour, pinch of salt. There's obviously going to be chocolate, maybe some baking powder, I don't know. But when you're baking a chocolate cake, you need to put the recipes in the right sequence in order for the chocolate cake to work. So, for example, if you just put all the ingredients together on a roasting pan or in a cooking tray, a cake tray, and put them in the oven, you're not going to come out with a very good chocolate cake. So you may have all the ingredients, but it's still not going to be a nice chocolate cake because you haven't combined them in the sequence that they need to be combined. You haven't followed the steps, you haven't followed the recipe. And it's exactly the same with marketing your veterinary practice. It is a recipe. It's very easy to do. It's very strategic, and you need to follow the steps sequentially. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And I'm going to talk about today about some of the steps and why so many practices get it wrong. Now, by the way, I'm just going to grab a drink. I did design a program called Veterinary Practice Marketing Made Easy, which I released about 3 months ago. And it is the only veterinary specific marketing program available in the world today. It's an online training. I'll tell you a little bit more about it later on. But even in the 3 months that the first enrollments have been using it, they've seen massive turnarounds in their marketing results. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. This is done for you. 87% of the heavy lifting's been done. All you need to do is follow the recipe, follow the steps like a chocolate cake, and you will be a marketer extraordinaire in the vet field. Alrighty, so let's get started. So the most overlooked step in marketing is getting the basics right. Most people jump in and market, but they haven't got the basics right. And until and unless you get the basics right, your marketing is never going to work properly. And this is the basics, or we'll go through some of the basics. Now, I could spend 2 or 3 hours going through this one slide alone and talking about what the basics are, but we don't have the time for that. So I'm just going to touch on a few things here. So, for example, who are your target clients? Who are your target pets? Because if you're everything to everyone, then you're going to be nothing to no one. So you need to determine your practice, you, the whole team, the practice manager, and you, whoever, you guys need to determine who your target clients are. And so you need to have a very specific niche. And the more niched you are, the more profitable your practice will be. So you need to fish for your ideal fish, fishing in their favorite pond, using the bait that they love. And please, I see practice after practice after practice that wants to be everything to everyone. They end up being nothing to no one. They become a very ordinary practice, and therefore they get ordinary results from their marketing, and they get ordinary profitability. The better delineated your niche is in your head, the more successful your practice will be on all levels. The other thing is, every time a client walks in your door, they're asking themselves, why should I come to you? And it's really interesting. I was in a practice about 3 weeks ago, and a client actually walked in the door, went up to the receptionist and asked her, why should I come to you? Now, interesting, I've been in that practice for 2 days. We've done a training on that particular question and how to answer it, the day before. And so when that client came in and asked her in exactly those words, I've moved into town, I've got a few dogs, a few cats, there's a few practices in town, why should I come to you? She answered that brilliantly. But most nurses, most vets, most practice owners, most practice managers that I talk to have got no idea of how to answer that question. So if you don't know why your clients should use you as opposed to any other veterinarian in town, well, how can you explain that to them? If you don't know it concretely, then you can't explain it to them, and therefore they might as well go anywhere else. And then the second question they're always asking themselves is, why should I stay? And there's this thing called polygamous loyalty. And polygamous loyalty is where you have, a frequent flyer card for Qantas, Tiger Air, and Virgin. where you have a Woolies card and a Coles card. So for the people that are overseas, Woolies and Coles are our two major retailers, food retailers. And maybe you'd have an Aldi card as well. So you're loyal, but you're polygamously loyal. In other words, you're loyal to 2 or 3 or 4 airlines. You're loyal to 2 or 3 or 4 food shopping places. And that's what most people are like with their pets. They'll consistently shop 2 or 3 vet practices rather than being totally loyal to just one, because that practice hasn't determined why the client should come and why they should stay, and then actually told the client that in their marketing material. Now, there's a new form of marketing, which is what you need to use today, and it's called EBM. EBM is education-based marketing. So the days of selling to clients are long, 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 long gone. So your client can look up all the diseases on the internet, has a huge choice of veterinarians that they go to, and so marketing needs to be different. And EBM, or education-based marketing, is where you educate your client again and again and again and again, and your potential clients again and again and again and again, as to what you can do for them, why you're good, how you can help their pets. And it's all got to be done in a very nice way. It can't be gratuitous, it can't be condescending, but it's figuratively putting your arm around their shoulder and helping them with their worming program, with their heartworm prevention, with their diet, with their senior pet, et cetera, et cetera. So you educate them again and again and again and again. You sell them nothing, but eventually they'll buy because you've educated them with respect to need, what they need. Typically, most practices have always asked their client to marry them on the first date. So client goes to the website and it's, sign up and join this and join that, or come in the door. Education-based marketing involves educating your client with blogs, newsletters, emails, videos, et cetera, When you do that and do that consistently and regularly, clients, your ideal client, and this is the key, your ideal client will flood in your door. So educate them. Now, getting the basics right. Also really important to understand the lifetime value of a client. It's very easy to calculate average transaction fee by the number of visits per year, by the number of years that person is a client. So typically in most small animal practices around the world, the average lifetime value of a client, and this is the total amount of money they spend with you over their whole life in inverted commas, is about $4,500 to $5,000. In some practices it's $7,000, $8,000 or $9,000, and other practices maybe a little bit less. But if you work on $4,500 to $5,000, that's what every client that walks in your door is worth. So for example, if you've got a client that's ringing up and the client is a supposed price shopper and says, what's the price on a cat castrate? If your nurses don't do an awesome job and get that client to be a client and book in, then you haven't just lost the $100 for the cat castrate, you've lost a potential future income of $4,500 to $5,000. So the phone shopper call is really, really, really important. And you can easily book 7 to 8 out of 10 phone shopper calls without having to be the cheapest in town. So irrespective of your price, you can book 7 or 8 out of 10 calls. And I'm actually doing a webinar on that in about 2 or 3 or 4 weeks time. So feel free to join me on that. So this is really important that all your clients, all your staff understand that the client is worth $5K, not just what they're in front of you for today, but $5K is their lifetime value. All clients are not treated equal. We've got the bell curve of clients with the Z clients down one end, all the way through the A clients up the other end. So you need to know your target niche, your target market, because all not clients are not created equally. So you can service all the clients, even prefer you not to, because if you're servicing all your clients, then you're going to be everything to everyone, or try to be everything to everyone, which doesn't work. You'll be nothing to no one. So I'm going to suggest you have a target niche of your ideal clients. You really focus on them. You help the others as well. You're certainly not going to turn them away, but you spend your time and attention with your ideal clients. Now, as I said earlier, in 2013, the game changed and service is back. Price is out, service is back. Price is not out with everyone, but it's probably out with your ideal client. And the reason I've got the LV up there is LV, if you don't know, stands for Louis Vuitton. And I was having lunch with a girlfriend who I've known for 50 years, and she used to I used to ride her horse on the show circuit competitively. And she is a world-class designer. She had her own brand label, etc., etc. And we hadn't met for ages, so I decided to have lunch with her in Sydney about 5-6 months ago. And we had lunch in a small cafe opposite the LV store, the Louis Vuitton store. And Anne was telling me the story where, 2 or 3 years ago, the LV store was only just a small store. Now it's a whole Sydney block. Why is it a whole Sydney block? Because in 2013, the game changed and service and price, service became really, really super important and price became less important. So the game has changed hugely. The other thing you need to know is the client acquisition cost. So if you spend $100 on Facebook ads, and I'm not saying you do or would, okay, but I'm just want to give you a scenario. If you spend $100 on Facebook ads or advertising on the yellow pages or Google AdWords or maintaining your website or whatever it happens to be, whether you get an A grade client or a B grade client or a Z grade client, you still spend $100. So wouldn't you be better off spending $100 and making sure that you target A grade clients rather than Z grade clients? So it's really, really, really important to target your advertising to the right group of clients so that you have the client, your ideal clients, the ones you love to work with. And also, it costs you money to get a client. Whether you understand it or not, if 500 clients a year come to you from your website, then you divide your website costs by 500 and it'll give you a client acquisition cost. So how much does it cost us to get a client in the door in a veterinary practice, a new client? Typically it's $50 to $100. So your client acquisition cost is typically $50 to $100. And that's equal whether it's a crappy client or a brilliant client. So wouldn't it be better to target brilliant clients? Now, I've seen client acquisition costs in certain practices as high as $500, and these practices don't mind because their client has a lifetime value of, say $7,000 or $8,000 rather than the average client of $4,500 to $5,000, and therefore they see that as $500 very well spent. As I said, if you spend $500 on getting a new client, considering that the average client in the States or Australia spends $545 a year with you, you're still $45 ahead. So that's not that's a bargain, really. If it costs you less to buy them in the door than they spend with you, then that's great. And remember that $500 is only a one-off cost. That's what it costs you to get them in the door today, and they're going to spend on average $545 with you every year for their lifetime. So you need to know your client acquisition costs, you need to know your ideal clients, and you need to know how much you're prepared to spend to get the client in the door. It's all a matter of balance. Now, excuse me, I'm just going to cough. They're just some of the basics and the important basics. So in the training that I've developed, the Veterinary Practice Marketing Made Easy, there's probably about 4 or 5 hours of training on the basics and getting the basics right. Because when you get the basics, I'll rephrase it, if you don't get the basics right, then your marketing is totally wasted. A couple of things I just wanted to mention. It's really, 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 really easy. So this is the second portion. So getting the basics right is the first portion. This is the second portion. And it's really easy to get a client in the door once, the first time. But it's really hard, or much harder, to get them coming back a second time if that first experience is a bit ordinary. And that's a key point. A lot of practices concentrate on getting the client in the door, but then when the client gets in the door, the service levels of the practice are not as excellent as the advertising made out, or as the client was led to believe, or the client was expecting, and therefore they come in, that experience is not quite what they like, and so they don't go back to that practice a second time. And this is another basic, is making sure that the staff on the floor, the receptionists, the nurses, the vets, really treat the clients excellently every time, and it become a memorable experience. It doesn't have to be better than the experience at any other practice. I practice, when I work with practices, I refuse to try and be better than the practice down the road. Be different, be a different experience, be memorable, but don't try and be better. Just target your ideal client and what they want from you, and then deliver that. We talked about education-based marketing, which is the way to get your message to your clients without selling. Very, very, very important concept, EBM, and that's how all advertising/marketing should be done these days if you want a great result. So education-based marketing establishes trust and credibility by using educational messages. It's the direct opposite of traditional marketing, which uses selling-based messages. People are tired of hearing worn-out old sales pitches. So start using EBM in your marketing and you'll find your results will go through the roof. Now, EBM involves spending time and effort in educating your potential client before they ever spend a single cent with you. And that's what does the head in of most veterinary practice owners and managers. They want to see an immediate return on their money. Whereas EBM, you will get the return, you will get an exponential return, but there's a delay because you have to educate them. And that takes a few weeks to a few months to maybe even a year or two. But eventually those clients will come in and they'll be your ideal client. Let's talk about some modern marketing tools. So client education, awareness. So modern marketing tools are client education. So educating your client versus blogs, newsletters, evening seminars, visits to the practice, whatever. Making them aware of all the problems that they might have, their challenges that they might have with their pet and how you can help them, and then training them with respect to pet care and stuff like that. Another modern marketing tool is social media, critically important. Most vets themselves are not on social media, or not to a great degree, but the clients are, and it is the best way these days to get new clients is through social media marketing. And I'm not saying paid necessarily, I mean free as well. YouTube, awesome. Second biggest search engine on the planet after Google. You need your own YouTube practice site, just as like you need your own practice, Facebook site, Pinterest site, all those sort of bits and pieces. And then you start educating your clients through those channels. You obviously need a website and you need the internet. You need a blog, quite definitely. Once a fortnight, once every 2 weeks or so. Blog only needs to be very short, very punchy, not too much detail because your clients don't have time to read it. You can have a summary of an article and a click here to read more type thing. It should take you no more than an hour a fortnight to put a blog together. If you're spending more time than that, then you're overthinking it with respect. Newsletter/blog go hand in hand. I'd suggest you do one or the other. You can certainly have a newsletter. You can have a blog every fortnight, and you can have a newsletter, say, every 3 months and make it a lot more detailed, a lot more comprehensive. You can marry those two things up. Electronic plus a few sitting on your reception counter so the clients can pick them up when they come in if they haven't got them electronically. Also a great tool to show your new clients, hey, here's our spring newsletter. Please have a read of it. Really blows your new clients away. So great tools there. Outsource that to one of your team, by the way. It shouldn't be you doing that. Seminars and open days, just a brilliant way to grow your practice. Newspaper advertorials, yes, excellent. Some really, really, really good results. So, for example, in the beginning of tick season, you could put an advertorial. And an advertorial, by the way, is an ad that's not written as an ad. It's an ad that's written as an information piece. So you pay the newspaper to put it in, but it's not going to sell Joe Blogg's vet practice. So in this example, it's going to tell the reader all about, ticks in your particular demographic or snakes or whatever it happens to be that's topical at the moment. And then there'd be a, ring Josie on phone number to, get more details or to get the full article or to get our brochure that we've created on this, or our whatever you want to call it that we've created on this, our tick brochure. Then you sign them up to the newsletter and you start educating them. Very easy to do. Or you may have a URL in that newspaper, and you say go to this URL and we'll send you more information. Work really, really well. Letterbox drops also work very, 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 very well if they're done correctly. But remember, with a letterbox drop, a 1% response is excellent. So for every 100 letterbox drops, if one person walks in your door, that's an excellent result. And that's just the statistics from letterbox drops. So, yeah, it'd be one of the things that I'd leave to last, unless you are in a new suburb or if there's a new suburb opening up. Then they're an awesome tool when done well. I don't think I've seen any vet, maybe one or two. I've seen maybe one or two vet practices do letterbox drops well, but I've seen thousands of vet practices have done really crappy letterbox drops and got no result out of it. TV and radio, not so, it's not a marketing tool that I'd use so much, but certainly, and this is in order too, this is in sequence, the best marketing tool being at the top and the last one lower down. Oh, and that reminds me, there were some notes to go hand in hand with this. If you haven't got the notes, then maybe email Michelle and she'll send you the notes, because I sent these slides out with some blanks that you could fill in. So this is the third marketing point that I want to go through. So we've talked about getting clients, getting the basics right. We talked about EBM, and now we're talking about new client acquisition. So when you target new clients, it's very easy to target specific clients, A, B, C, D, or E, and it costs you the same amount of money to get an A client in the door versus a C client in the door. So it's really important that when you do your new client acquisition strategy, that you only target A clients, or A's and B's, but I prefer just A's. And if you're not careful, you're going to get Z's, and then you're going to spend money on getting a Z client in the door, and then they're going to leave, or you're going to kick them out. So you need to target where your A clients are laser-like rather than a scattergun approach. Target them, spend the money on getting them, spend quite a lot of money on getting them. That's fine, because you know you're going to recoup it. It costs you 6 to 16 times more to get a new client in the door than retaining old clients. So this is why I'm saying you don't need any new clients, okay? You don't need any new clients. We'll talk about that in the next couple of slides, because it's so expensive. Typically in most practices, when the first time the client walks in the door, that visit is cost neutral. They may have spent $250, but that's going to be balanced out by the advertising and the marketing you got to get them there, setting the records up, building rapport, et cetera, et cetera. So most first visits, you've got to accept the fact that there is no profit in that first visit. So if they just come in the door once and they don't come back, you're square. But really, and therefore, you really want them to come back a couple of times, in other words, to get some profit out of that situation. Now, typically, in the States, in South Africa, in Australia, New Zealand, at the moment, new client 3-year retention is less than 50%. So what that means is that if you get a new client, if you get 100 new clients in the door today, within 3 years, you'll only have retained 50% of those, 50%, half. So new client 3-year retention is 50%. Whereas when you send out a welcome pack, that new client retention will go up to 85%. So by sending a welcome pack, you'll keep 85 out of those 100 new clients. Whereas if you don't send a welcome pack, then you're only going to retain 50 of those new clients. So most practices don't send welcome packs. And there's a specific strategy as to what needs to be in a welcome pack. I don't have time to go through that today, but you need to have 4 very specific things in that welcome pack. If you don't have 4 in them, it's not going to work. But when you get that welcome pack in the new client hand, new client's hands, life changes. Now, most practices think that new client acquisition is easy and it's cheap, but they never measure what it costs. And in actual fact, it's hard to do, and just to get A-grade clients, and it's expensive to do as well. I've given you the analogy already of mud against the wall, but I said it was money against the wall, so that's fine. So new client acquisition done well can work very well. But I'll say again, you really only need to get enough new clients in the door on a weekly, monthly, or annual basis to offset the attrition caused by client loss. The other strategy we'll talk about today will give you the growth and profit that you're after. Now, what I will say is these other strategies that we're going to talk about. So new client acquisition is easy because you put some ads out there, you put some social media out there, you do this, you do that, bang, bang, quick, easy. Never track whether it works. You don't know whether you've made an investment or whether you just sort of burnt money. But most practices do that because that's, like I said, quick and easy. If you want to look at the other strategies to grow your practice, and that's client retention is the next big strategy, then you need to look at why clients aren't being retained. So why are clients leaving? So with new client acquisition, you don't have to look within your practice or within yourself because you just throw mud at the wall and clients will come in the door. if you've got a leaky bucket, if you've got existing clients leaving your practice and you want to prop that up, fill the holes up in the bucket, or fill the block the holes in the leaky bucket so that clients no longer leave, then you need to look within yourself and within your practice with respect to why are my clients leaving, and then you need to do something about it so that you stop them leaving. And that can be emotionally very difficult to do because it involves looking inside ourselves, and then it also and inside our practices, and then it involves training the staff in these things, and et cetera, so that you stop that attrition. So this is existing client retention. And your existing customer, your existing client is your biggest asset. And I think I've got it. Yeah, here, this is awesome stuff. If you increase your existing client retention by just 5 to 10%, you will increase your practice profits by 50 to 100%. There's been an amazing number of studies on this, and they all hold true. So this is why I say you don't need any new clients. All you need to do is concentrate on your existing clients, service them, find out why they leave, and fix those holes in the bucket, and your practice is going to absolutely go stratospheric with respect to increasing practice profits. So 5 to 10% change in client retention results in a 50 to 100% change in practice profits. Stunning figure. If you take nothing else out of today, take that figure out of it. So you know whether they're A's or Z's, and all you need to do is focus on retaining the A's and the B's. You don't want to retain the Z's necessarily. So as I said a number of times now, it does involve looking within and fixing what's not working, and this can be very hard. Now, how do you do that? Client satisfaction surveys, whether that's at reception as they're leaving from the visit, whether that's as part of a courtesy call, whether that's sending them into a Survey Monkey to do an online survey, whether that's mailing them a how did we go form with a stamped self-addressed envelope they can fill in. There's lots of ways you can do it, but do it. Existing client retention is very, very, very cheap. It's very expensive to do emotionally, though. So financially, it's really cheap, but emotionally, it's expensive because it means, looking under the rug, looking under the carpet, because a lot of stuff in practice is often swept under the carpet. So it means lifting up the carpet to have a look what's been swept under there and then fixing it. So another way of increasing existing client retention is just to be a little bit different, to make sure that your client gets an experience. So as I said earlier, don't ever try and be better than another practice. There's no point, but you can be slightly different, and you can be different, say 1% different in 20 or 30 different ways, and then you'll become iconic. So you can be different on how your team answers the phone, what your website looks like, how the receptionists greet the client when they walk in the door, how the vet interacts with the clients, how Fluffy's handled during surgery. And I mean something like, the pets in recovery ring up and make a courtesy call and say, hey, relax, get on with your day, surgery's gone well, et cetera, et cetera. Be ready to pick up at 4 o'clock, see you then. So that will make you iconic. Newsletters, obviously, or blogs. There are so many how the client's escorted to the car. So there's a lot of ways in which you can just make a slight difference in the way that you've done something. And by the time you slightly tweak 20 or 30 different things in your practice, you will become iconic and you'll become the destination of choice for your ideal clients. That is the most important practice building tip that I could give you. That last line, be 1% different. Now, excuse me. So existing client retention is the most important practice building strategy that there is, and it's the most overlooked / rarely used strategy. And existing client retention is never examined properly, it's never documented properly, and it's never strategized properly, and therefore most practices suck at it, and it happens by default, not by design. And when you do it by design, your life will change, your practice life will change. So retaining existing clients is your lifeblood. It's your lifeblood. Now, so we've gone through 4 things now. Getting the basics right, EBM, client acquisition, and client retention. And now we're going to talk about a strategy number 5, which is, so like I said, remember there's 10 steps or 10 things that you can do to maximize your marketing and your marketing efforts. And we've gone through 4. This is another form of marketing. So this is the 5th thing. In the Veterinary Practice Marketing Made Easy online training series, the 10, there are 10 modules, and in each of those modules there's 3, 4, 5 hours worth of strategies that are simple, all the way from simple to complex to implement in these 10 areas. So you can't do much about that. You know, you can't reactivate a dead client or a dead pet, and unfortunately 1% of our clients die, and therefore they leave us. Now, another 3% of our clients, what we're looking at now is why do clients leave? So 1% die, 3% move away. Can't do much about that either. 5% will leave you because of influence by their friends. In other words, they weren't deliriously happy with you. They had an okay visit, and when they had coffee with their girlfriend, the girlfriend said, "Hey, I just had a dog de-sexed up at ABC Vets. Why don't you give them a go?" So 5% leave because of they weren't deliriously happy with you and their friends influenced them. Okay, maybe you can't do too much about that either. 7% leave because of price. Get over it, move on. There's nothing to worry about. 7% were dissatisfied. Now, you can definitely do something about this. You can definitely put a satisfaction protocol in place so that they're happy with your services. And if you do things like courtesy calls, you'll find out whether they're happy with your products. And I remember in my practice when we did courtesy calls 2 days after the patient's visit, that was done routinely. It was systematic, and every client was called. If we heard that a client said, "Hey, look, I used a particular shampoo and I wasn't happy with it," we'd say to them, "Okay, race straight back in. We'll give you a refund on that shampoo, and we'll give you another brand to make up for it, as a thank you for letting us know." So we tracked client dissatisfaction very, very, very carefully, and we rarely had it because we were so proactive with finding out whether they were satisfied or not. 9% were lured away by the competitors. That's number 3 as well. And then a massive 68% of clients were lost due to the perceived attitude of indifference. In other words, they weren't happy with what you did. So 68% of clients think that you lose, think that you don't care or didn't care. A perceived attitude of indifference by their vet. Can you fix that? You bet you can. And maybe you can't fix every single one, but even if you pick up 50% of that 68%, that is huge. This is so easy to do, guys. This is so easy to do. But like I said, it involves looking within. It involves lifting up the carpet to see what's been swept underneath, and then doing something about it. And so it's emotionally very hard, but physically and financially very, very, very easy. So when you know this stuff on this slide here, you can actually reactivate a stack of clients. So you'd go to your lost, you'd run a search through your database to find all the clients that haven't been in for, say, 15 to 18 months or 2 years, whatever you want. So I like 15 to 18 months because they haven't been gone too long. We're still fairly fresh in their mind, and they're typically fairly easy to get back. If you go much past 2 years, you can. It's the law of declining returns, okay? The more recency they have, the more recently they've been in, the more likely you are to be able to reactivate them. After they've been not with you for 3 years or so, that's bad grammar, wasn't it? After they've, not been with you for 3 years, then it's a lot harder to reactivate them. So you don't want to reactivate, C's through to Z's, excuse me. You don't want to reactivate, the C's through to Z's. You certainly want to reactivate the A's, and maybe think about the B's as well, but certainly the A's you want to reactivate. So you can have a client reactivation strategy, or you can have a patient reactivation strategy. So a client reactivation strategy involves writing a letter to the client saying, "Hey, we haven't seen you for X, Y, Z period of time. Don't know whether that's just, coincidence or bad luck. Or whether you haven't had need for us. But, either way, we'd love to see you again. And here's a reason to come back in the door." Very easy to do. It'll take you a while to develop those letters. If you need to test these letters first, typically the letters that I've got that are in the Veterinary Practice Marketing Made Easy training, they'll typically comfortably get 20 to 30% of clients reactivated. So client reactivation, you'd find 100 of those A-grade clients that haven't been in for 15 to 18 months and write them not just one letter, but you'd write them 2 or 3 or 4 emails, letters, SMSs over a period of time. You don't pester them, you educate them. Okay, this is again EBM. And typically you'll get 20 to 30% back. That's wow. And what does, what does 5 letters cost you? For example, if you're sending 5 letters, $10. You're getting $10. You're spending $10. You're getting client, in effect, a new client back in the door that's going to spend another 4.5 to 5K with you over the next 7 to 8 years. It's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer, and it works so well. It's so easy to do. But you've got to have the letters right. You've got to test them and play with them until you get it right. But I can tell you, and put this down, if you're going to do this on your own in your practice, please go for it. If you're just going to, start throwing some of these letters together, aim at a 30% recall rate and keep testing and fiddling until you get a 30% uptake or 30% result, because it is possible, because we've done it again and again with the clients that I've worked with. So it's an awesome strategy. And then there's patient reactivation. So you might focus on teeth or lumps or bumps or seniors. So it might be an 8-year-old pet that hasn't been in the door since it was 4 years old, and you'd write a letter to that pet saying, hey, you've just hit 55. In human terms, the wheels are starting to fall off. These are the wheels that are about to fall off. Come in and we'll run some tests and do some bits and pieces and make sure that you're hale and healthy and hardy, and we'll start putting a maintenance program in place. Again, 30% easily patient reactivation when you use lumps and bumps strategies, when you use teeth, dental disease strategies, when you use senior strategies. Really easy to do and minimal cost. As I said, one email, one letter, one phone call doesn't work. You've got to be systematic about this and do it over a 6 to 12 month period of time. This is where most vet practices don't think it through either. They'll write one letter to 100 senior pets, and they'll get one dog come in the door or one cat come in the door or maybe a handful, and they'll say, oh, this doesn't work, and they won't do it again. Yeah, it won't work. People have to hear something 5 to 7 times before they get accustomed to it and are willing to take action. Now, I said verbally that it results in a 20 to 30% reactivation, and on the screen here, I've got 30 to 40%. You can get 30 to 40%. I certainly have achieved it, but 20 to 30% is nice and comfortable and nice and easy to do. So you can set the bar as high as you like. The cost is peanuts. Now, once reactivated, they actually become more strongly bonded, more loyal. So the second time around, they'll become more loyal, more bonded, spend more, stay with you longer, and in turn, refer more friends. Do you think it's worth putting a lost lapse client reactivation program in place? You bet. Now, it's rarely used by most practices. Referral program. This is step number 6 in the out of the 10. We're not going to do all 10 today. Now, the first thing to understand is that your existing clients will not refer you to their friends. Your existing clients will not refer you to their friends. Your existing happy clients will not refer you to their friends. You may think they will, but they don't. Your raving fan clients will, but not your normal clients, unless you put a strategy in place to make it easy for them. And I did a training on this, like I said, 3 to 4 weeks ago. So I don't know whether you saw that or not, but I went through that whole training was just on referrals and referral programs. So I'm not going to reprise that and do it in detail here. Why don't they refer you? Lots of reasons. You're always so busy. You're a well-kept secret. If I send my friend to you and you don't like my friend and my friend doesn't like you, I'm piggy in the middle, so I won't take that risk. As I said, you're always too busy. Whenever I walk in the door, the phones are ringing, the nurses are running around like headless chooks, and I don't want to put overload you with any of my friends because you're already so overloaded. There's 5 specific reasons. They're just some of them. Now, these new clients by referral already have trust because you've got someone in common. They've been referred by someone. They're more loyal. They'll spend more with you. They'll stay longer and will in their turn refer more friends. Just like a reactivated client. So they are awesome to have, awesome to have. And you need to use passive and active strategies to do that. So a passive strategy will be something on the bottom of your invoice, like the greatest gift that you can give us is referral by a friend. And there's 6 or 8 different phrases that you can use like that. And you can put them on your website. You can put them on the bottom of your invoices, put them on your letterhead, put them on your emails, put a little sign up in the reception area and in the consult rooms, all of which point out that you are happy to accept referrals. So they're passive strategies. Active strategies are where you create a friend of a friend business card that you hand out to your clients and say, hey, look, if you've loved what we've done and you've got any friends, colleagues, acquaintances that have pets that might find using our services valuable, please feel free to give this card to them. So there's a lot of active strategies. Most vets steer away from active strategies because they find it embarrassing to how to say stuff, and I'm talking about nurses and receptionists as well. But once you get the phraseology right, just like I did then, it's really, really, really easy to do, and you're actually doing your your clients a favor, because when they refer a friend in, they'll just feel awesome about it. There may be even you may even give them a box of chocolates or a bottle of wine or a personally signed thank you card if they refer friends in. These active strategies can have rewards in them, or maybe not, totally up to you, but you need to use both. One on their own just don't work as well. So one of the ways that you can use, one of the really great ways that you can use this as a passive strategy is when a new client comes in the door and the receptionist is getting their details, she says, and who do I get to thank for suggesting that you use us? Who do I get to thank for suggesting you come our way? Or who do I get to thank for suggesting that you and Buffy, be part of our practice? So whatever, it's that who do I get to thank? So that phrase implies that referral is normal. It implies that their friend is going to get thanked. How, you don't know, but it also implies that if they refer someone in, that A, it's a good thing to do, and B, they're going to get thanked. So that's a brilliant phraseology. It's an absolute game changer at reception. Reward the referring client. A thank you is brilliant, or you can go further, like I said, with boxes of chocolates or whatever. I like having a bit of a concrete reward, like boxes of chocolates or a box of wine, or a bottle of wine, or whatever. Just a small thank you gift. I prefer that to just a thank you card or just a thank you phone call. But either is fine. As I talked about earlier, make it easy for them. Refer a friend card. Now, it's really important to know the number of cards that you can give them. There's been lots of studies on this, and a lot of them are cited in the book Yes by Robert Cialdini. And there were some studies done on how many cards do you need to give a client in order for that client to refer you. And the number is between 5 and 6. So if you don't give your existing client that's standing in front of you here and now today 5 to 6 friend refer a friend card or business cards, they won't refer you. Okay. So again, you can reference those studies if you want to in that book called Yes. So you need to train your team in the phraseology. You need to train your team in giving the cards out. It's really easy to do. It works really well. And I would target that 85% of your new clients come by referral. 85% of your clients should come by referral. That's the target that I would suggest that you set yourself, and it's very achievable. Excuse me again. Now, what your modern client wants is make it easy for me. And this is the reason for EBM, education-based marketing. They're so under the pump. They're so stressed. They can go to Google and find 15 ways to fix this problem or fix this disease. They are confused, unsure, unclear, perplexed, disorientated, bewildered. They trust you. So it's up to you to put your figurative armor over their figurative shoulder and deliver them the bits and pieces that they need to look after their pets. And that's done through what I call systematized healthcare delivery. I commonly call that programs, okay? Dental, senior, lumps and bumps, pet insurance, obesity. There's lots and lots of different programs, lots and lots of forms of systematized healthcare delivery that you can deliver to your clients that they'll take up in droves because their life is hard, busy, hectic, and they want you. So I said 10, there's 11 healthcare program your modern client wants. They systematize their delivery. So make sure that pets over 7 are enrolled in your senior program. Make sure that your pets with dental disease are enrolled in your dental program. And educate your clients. You need to tell them something 5 to 7 times before they believe it, accept it, and understand it. So you need to start educating them as early as possible. A lot of the clients that I work with that have senior programs in place, they'll actually start educating their clients that the pet needs to go onto a senior program. They'll start that at the 16-week vaccination or at the 16-week vaccination. So that's when they start. And so when the client comes up around again at 7 for their annual health check or whatever, then they automatically just enroll in that senior program because they've heard it for 7 years. Life plans are great. If you can have a chart with a life plan, like a yellow brick road for what's going to happen over the 15 years of that pet's life, what needs to be done, where and when, that works brilliantly. There's a practice in Melbourne that I work with, and we just started using these life plans, and their practice growth rate has bumped up to 40%. And they attribute a lot of that due to the increased work they're getting because they've put life plans in place. Now the client knows what the next step is on the pet's journey. Report cards are brilliant as well. You know, if you've got a report card for the client to take home, you'll get a lot more action on the to-do items. So, for example, a pet's in today, it gets it's here for vaccination, it's got crappy teeth. You attempt to book them in and you can't. If you then give them a report card on to go home, and on it, you know, you've ticked all the boxes with the dental disease and written some notes, and on it says in red, you know, needs to come back by the 14th of October at the latest to have a dental treatment, then you're much more likely to get that to happen with pet report cards. Again, they're a game changer with client compliance when you start using report cards. As I said, enroll the pet in those 11 healthcare programs when it's appropriate to do so. Now let's do some maths on this. So let's calculate what it's costing you to not focus on these strategies, okay? What would it be worth for you to acquire one new client per day? And as I said, the average client will spend $545 with you in 12 months. The average lifetime value of a client is $4,500 to $5,000. So if you acquired one more client per day, that's $4,500 to $5,000 in future income. One extra client is $4,500 to $5,000 in extra income. One more client is an extra $545 spend in the next 12 months. So I'll do some numbers here now. So the lifetime value of a client is $4,500. Average client spends $445 with you. So what if you get just one new client a week? And I said a day a minute ago, but I'm now saying a week. Let's make it really easy. Using these strategies that we've been through, could you not get one new client a week? Easily. Or retain one new client a week, or reactivate one new client a week. So just one a week is $28,000 extra income this year, and over $250,000 in lifetime value. What if you just get two? Well, that's almost $60,000 extra income this year, and almost $500,000 in lifetime value. The numbers are astronomical, ladies and gentlemen. Just 2 new clients a week. So easy to do. Now let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. In a 2-vet practice, you can easily get 4 new clients a week. Easily, using the strategy we've been through. Done it again and again and again and again and again with the practices that I work with. That's $113,360 of extra income this week and $936,000 in lifetime value. Here's your pay rise. I see so many practice owners that say, you know, I'm working my butt off, you know, and I'm getting really underpaid. I certainly can't pay my team what they're worth. Well, here's the money. Here's the money. All you need is 4 new clients extra a week, and you'll have close to $1 million extra in your practice coffers. There's your pay rise, and there's your team's pay rise. And it's so easy to do. I've done it consistently with practices for the last 10 years. And if some of those practices can do it, you can do it too. So from what you've seen and heard, do you think that you could have a better marketing system if you had the right tools and the training? And remember, it's all about following a recipe. So That's the cost of inaction. I mean, you've got a couple of choices now. One is do nothing, and the cost of that is not going and swimming with the whales, not taking your family on a holiday to either the ski fields or to the beach, and not having enough money in your bank account. So that's the cost of inaction. So if you do nothing and you just say, hey, great webinar, I'm not going to do anything about it, there's your pain. So the second choice is, let me just go back. The second choice is you work it out yourself. You go home, you say, great strategies. You've got the notes there. You can fiddle and fart and practice and fine tune, and you will come up with the solution. So, for example, the letters that you write to reactivate lost and lapsed clients, I'm sure you can come up with letters that may not get 30% because it's taken me 7 or 8 years to fine tune them enough to get that number, but you certainly get 10 to 15% quite comfortably, and there's a lot of money there. So you can certainly do that. But it's going to take time and effort on your part and dedication. The other choices for us to work together. So I'll train your staff to turn marketing into profits, and I'll do it so that you can get the benefits immediately. And you won't have to do a thing. If you want to run the marketing program, great, go for it. But this has been designed in such a way that you can step back, oversee it, but not have to do any of the hack work yourself. So this is all designed in such a way that it's foolproof, and that you can pass this on to a nurse, receptionist, veterinarian even, that's got enthusiasm and interest in this arena, and they can do it all for you. And you don't have to do a thing, you just relax. So this is the Veterinary Practice Marketing Made Easy training that I've talked about. Okay, it's the newest, fastest, easiest, and it's the only veterinary specific marketing training that has ever been available. It will grow your practice astronomically. And I'm not saying that you'll grow it at the 40% like the guys in Melbourne that I was telling you about, but there's a lot of practices getting those sort of numbers that are using this program. So I'm not saying that you will do it or could do it, but I'm also saying there's no reason you couldn't do it when you follow these strategies, because I've seen it happen with dozens of practices. It'll make your marketing easy, irresistible, and fun. And it'll allow you to grow your practice as fast as you want to, or as slowly as you want to. This is a system that you can turn on and off at will. So if you want a stack of clients, you turn it on, you get new clients to the door. When you're flat out or when you're filled up, your client numbers, you turn it off until you need it again. So what I'd like you to do is, I've got a website that you can go to. Michelle, maybe you can put it in the chat box. And this is the training program called Veterinary Practice Marketing Made Easy. And it's going to take your marketing, like I said, to an astronomical level. So no one has ever put anything like this together for the veterinary industry. This is the first and only truly comprehensive and veterinary specific. This is not generic. This has been written. I wrote this specifically for and in practices. This is vet specific only. Right. So if we just go down, you can see my screen. There's 10 modules, and we talked about first things first already, but like I said, we just touched on some basics. There's 3 or 4 hours of extra stuff in there. Miscellaneous, understanding the client's lifetime value, developing your unique service proposition, why you're different, watch a client's cycle of life. And there's a book of phone scripts in here as well. I've given you all the phone scripts that I have for every situation which you could find yourself with a client. And these are, as well as phone scripts, they're also face-to-face scripts. There's a massive number of scripts in here that you can personalize to the way that you do things, and it'll absolutely change the outcome of your phone calls. We talked about EBM, education-based marketing. That's module 3. Module 4 is advertising. And I'm going to say that you do not have to advertise in order to grow your practice. I'm going to suggest that you do not need to advertise to grow your practice, okay? However, you may choose to if you want. To me, client attraction and referral are the two biggest ways to go, not advertising, not new client attraction. But if you want to go down this road, it has everything that you need to know about advertising. And there's a lot in here about how to write the perfect practice brochure, how to develop a business card that works. There's a whole section on Facebook strategies, the use of soft dollar, a whole heap on website strategies, and there's a primer or a learner's guide to how to do copywriting, effective copywriting. Then we have a client attraction module. As I said, advertising and client attraction are two things that I wouldn't focus on. These is what I'd focus on: client retention. So we talked about 5 to 10% increase in client retention results in a 50 to 100% increase in practice profits. When you go through this module, you will be able to very easily increase your client retention by 10%. So that means your practice profits are immediately going to be go up by 50 to 100%. We talked about referral programs. So there are done for you referral programs in this module with the scripting and everything else that you can use. And this is the material in this module is the material that I use with my one-on-one clients to achieve that KPI of 85% of all new clients coming into the practice do so by referral. Merchandising, this is how to double or triple the income of your reception area from ethical sales. Now, if you don't like the merchandise, cool, don't do this module. But this is again, comes straight out of my one-on-one client trainings, and everyone that's used it has doubled or trebled or tripled, whatever term you like to use, the income from their reception area. So as it says in this little note here, merchandising should never be regarded as a core practice income because it can be lost at any time. And we're going through that at the moment with online sales, et cetera, excuse me. But if you've got merchandising there sitting in the reception area, why not make it, turn it into a profit center? We talked about the 11 systematized healthcare delivery programs. And this module here shows you how to have that developed so that it rolls out specifically, okay? The modern client, this is a huge way in which you can set yourself away from all your competition. So some of the programs are dental, senior, obesity, breed-specific, feline wellness, renal care, arthritis, lumps and bumps. There are 11 programs here. All the scripting's there. All the letters are there. And when you put this in your practice, it'll just go nuts. You don't have to do all 11. You may just decide you want to do dental, senior, and lumps and bumps, for example. There's a huge amount of money sitting out in your patient database that you will get in the door when you start offering your clients these programs. Clients want these, and clients are really, really happy to spend the money on these. There's been study after study after study since 2011 showing that this is what your clients want, okay? So aside from being highly sought after by clients, these programs will be very profitable to your practice. And then the next and the last module are selling strategy. So I know we don't like to think of ourselves as salesmen or saleswomen, and the word is frowned on. However, in order to survive and thrive, you need to sell, and not necessarily products and services. You need to sell belief systems and mindset. And if you, for example, don't educate the client that their pet needs worming or needs heartworm prevention or needs desexing or whatever it is, if you don't ethically sell that product or service, then the pet's the one at risk. So we need to sell ideas and beliefs as well as products and services, because otherwise the client is going to be seconded away by potentially second-rate and second-tier ideas, beliefs, products and services. So that means that both they and the pet miss out on optimal and needed care. So this whole chapter goes through the consultative approach to selling and how to become a professional and consultative salesperson, just rather than just being an order taker. And this again is a module that I use with my one-on-one clients, and the nurses and receptionists just absolutely love it because it changes the way they think about selling. So here's what you get when you enroll in the program. Everything listed above on a personal, password protected, secure website, 24/7 access. It's all housed there. Or you can download it all to your computer. So you've got access the whole time. There's videos. Every video has been transcripted. So you don't have to watch the videos. You can. And certainly I guide and mentor you on the videos, but you can just read the transcripts if you prefer reading. There's also the stripped out audio files. So they're just there as MP3s. So you can download that onto your iPod or whatever it is that you want to load them down to, burn it to a CD and listen to this stuff in your car. So you're not tied up to your computer. There's Word docs, PDFs, Excel spreadsheets. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of examples of good magazines, good marketing, good brochures, good business cards, good letters, good handouts, and then crappy ones, really bad ones, so that you can look at the two and say, oh, now I understand why this is good and this is bad. All the templates are plug and play. There's hundreds of templates. So with the senior programs, for example, there are 3 senior letter templates. And when you use these 3 letters in the way they are set up, you will get a 20 to 30% uptake of your senior program. Very easy. Just doing that alone is going to pay for this program. Go at your own pace, as fast or as slow as you like. 100% guarantee. If you don't like it, let me know and give you your money back. And then you'll get 12 months of support from me to get you started. So you've got access to me for 12 months. Any questions you come up with, any challenges, if you've got a letter and you say, oh, look, this is something I've written myself, Dick, can you please, can I email it to you so you can give me your feedback on it? You think it'll work or not work or whatever? Be happy to critique all that stuff. You'll have me for 12 months. Now, normally this program is $295, but since you've been specifically directed here, today, it's $19.50. Now, and you can use the 4-pay option of $497. So one payment of $19.50 or a 4-pay option of $497. So let me just go back to the slides. So, excuse me. So you've got till the 16th of October to take it up for that $19.50. And I'm going to suggest you sign up immediately while you're on that website. Because of the personal involvement that I've got, we can only take 100 attendees on the webinar platform at the moment. I mean, I can't critique more than 100, letters and all this sort of stuff. So I'm going to very strongly suggest to register now. And just before we go to questions, the one thing is, like, $19.50, one new client is worth $4,500 to you. One new client's worth $4,500 over their lifetime value. Or one new client will spend $545. So if you get 4 new clients out of this program, you've paid for the program. 4 new clients. Now you're going to get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients out of this program, not just 4. So you will recoup your money hand over fist very, very, very easily. You just need 4 new clients, and you'll get that out of the new client acquisition if you want to go down that road. You can get it out of the client retention, reactivation strategies. You can get it out of the referral program. And I'll be very, 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 very surprised if you don't get 2 to 3 new clients a week when you use these strategies. And the reason I say that is because all my coaching guys are getting much, much, much better results than that using these exact strategies. And as I said, a couple of them are growing at massive numbers. So it's easy to do. So that's it. Can I suggest you sign up immediately, and then we can start getting you logged on the program and get you started. And in the meantime, whoops, got one slide too far. It's question time. So what questions do you have? And let me put the... So because this is a new webinar system, I don't know where the chat is very easily. So Michelle's going to read them out to me if any questions come in. So normally it takes 30 or 60 seconds for the questions to come through the chat panes. So if you've got any questions, please fire away. I'd like to thank you very much for being here with me. I know I've gone 15 minutes over, and my apologies for that, but I think it's well worth it because of the amount of information that you got out of today. Thank you, Carmel. There's some feedback coming in. So thank you, Carmel. Really appreciate that. So I'll give it another 2 minutes. And if there's no questions through by then, I'll shut down because then I'm going to assume that there's no more questions coming through. So I've got about another minute to go. I'll keep talking because if I don't keep talking, you may think everything's shut down. Okay, just a couple of seconds to go before it's 8:17. I started on this at alrighty. Well, it's just gone 8:17 on my watch. So if there's no questions, I'm going to bid you a fond adieu. If you want to join us again tonight, please feel free. We're doing the same thing tonight. You may want to take some more notes to get more out of it because I know I went fast. If you want to join us, I'd love to see you join us because I know how much value you'll get out of it. So thank you for joining me. Really appreciate it and look forward to catching up again soon. Bye.